your endeavors to basically get solar viable here in Iowa as an energy source?
Well, I just want to say it's been great working with Bob. It's been a lot of fun, even though there's a generation gap here a little bit. We kind of get each other, and so it's been a fun project. And seeing a utility, look into the future and see where the markets are going. This technology is old, but it's incredible technology. And we're pulling energy out of the sun. Incredible technology, and that sun's always going to be there. And if it's not, we got a lot more problems than that, right? And return on our investment. But you're seeing this technology become more abundant on a global scale, and it's here, and it's happening. And these kids, our future, is in this technology. It's in renewable energy, it's in sustainability, it's in all these factors of how the world is globally starting to become one. Well, it's a lot of energy, a lot of water, a lot of resources. So we have to learn how to grab more of our resources, and this is doing it. So it's impressive to see that. And I'm really excited to get this industry going. It's a lot of infrastructure. You put some guys to work here, which was great, and they did a great job. And that's part of the industry, that when you have any new players in the industry, you got to have standards and you got to deliver. And I'm hoping this baby keeps on delivering.
Being in the utility industry, I work with a lot of contractors over the time, and I would say Stan and his group is right at the top of my list for just fantastic contractors to work with. Came in, told me what they were going to do, and they did it. And anybody that deals with contractors on a fairly regular basis knows that that's the exception instead of the rule. So I can't say enough about the job that Stan and his group did on the actual installation of this project. So Stan, I don't know if you got anything you want to share with
Thank you very much for those kind words. Obviously, I think between the two, I feel the generation gap between those two.
Well, thanks. Yeah, well, I'm used to it. I'm just glad I'm around here to see those guys.
But no, the whole project for us was very exciting. We got to work. We were the go-betweens between Tim and Access Energy, and both people gave us great support. We got on the site here. Everybody in the warehouse was real helpful, providing us space to work, things to do. The interesting thing I find is how the alternate energy field's going. We've actually added 2 employees to our company directly related to that. This was our first large project. We had done a lot of small alternate energy projects. Now we're seeing more of them come through. So I think it is like Tim says, it's a growing field. The technology's there, and people are realizing that it's a viable way to go. So I think you're going to see a lot more.
Actually had it first interconnected, and technology the way it is, it's got its own web access, and iPower has a web portal so we can track and collect data. We got that up and running the 14th of July. So we just started collecting data. I was sharing with the congressman a little earlier that we're able to pull our metering data for the month of August. That was the first full month of operation. It's certainly performing at my expectations, and it's probably exceeding my expectations on how it's performing. Put in perspective, June was the last month we operated our facility without the solar panels being available to us. August was our first full month of operation. Our energy consumption for our facility here was down 24% August to June. And a measure we use in the utility world to normalize for weather are heating and cooling degree days. The cooling degree days for August were 22% greater than that of June. So you can see, just based on that first month's operation, we're seeing that it's certainly contributed to our energy usage here at this facility. And I was showing some people, we've got some metering data. August 1st was our peak day. We were getting roughly 70 kW out of the system on peak, which that's a capacity requirement. All the utility folks know that capacity is what we invest so that we have power available to you when you need it. And when you need it is the hottest day of the year. If you don't believe me, go ask the people over in New England and the northeast part of the United States how important electricity is on any day. But on the hottest day of the year, so we make as a utility industry huge investments in plant to supply that capacity on the hottest day of the year. We saw that this was contributing about what we expected it to. There was a little bit of derate from the AC from the DC to the AC side of it. So we were seeing it contribute capacity as we expected. And I was showing the congressman that at this facility we peaked at 5 p.m. on August the 1st. Our energy consumption at this facility was the same at 5 p.m. during the hottest part of the day as it was at midnight on August the 1st. So obviously it's working as we expected, and now we're going to look at it over the long haul and see how it performs, because obviously August we have a lot more hours of sunlight than we'll have in November and December, so I'm anxious to see how it performs during those winter months. But at least at first blush it's certainly performing as we expected, and probably from an energy standpoint I think it's probably producing a little more energy than I was originally anticipating it to. So Congressman, I'd certainly appreciate if you got any words of wisdom to share with us here today.
I'm not sure I have any words of wisdom, I have some words.
I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your busy schedule to be here with us today to see what we've been able to accomplish here.
Thanks, I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here, and given the recent polls, I think you might be surprised if I have any words of wisdom. Right? But Tim's done a great job, and I do like. I know Tim early on you said, you were saying something like, just do what we got to do, and you're not anxious to get involved in the politics of all this and all that, and that makes perfect sense to me. We've got to look at this as rationally as we possibly can. I taught at Cornell College for 24 years. I like to think that I was trying to use my head as much as possible, not only learning but teaching. And politics in D.C. at the moment, as you all know, it just seems to be one big partisan food fight on both sides of the aisle, and we're not getting anything done. It doesn't appear to most of you, and I think I probably can confirm that being part of it, that people are just not thinking rationally about policy and how we ought to move forward. This kind of a project, I am looking forward to following its progress and sort of seeing what comes out of this, because we've got to have the best data, the best information if we're going to make policy at any level of government. We've got to know what the facts are. I mean, we all think solar, most of us think solar is like really cool. We used to think that long ago, still do. But we have to make sure that it's feasible too. We have to make sure that it's cost effective. I want Tim Dwight to have a great business. I want him to be a rich man, and be part of the capitalist system and all the rest. At the same time, when we make policy for our taxpayers, we have to make sure that we're making policy that is in fact cost effective, that it does pay for the taxpayers ultimately. The stimulus package, much debated as we know, much maligned and all the rest, but clearly in this case it seems to be a good example of that money put to use, whether it's 2 jobs or whatever the case may be. This is something really good that has come out of it, according to what Bob has been saying up to this point. Not everything was, and we've got to evaluate that. But this project, we've got to keep track of how this goes. That's why I was asking how much per kilowatt hour it costs to do this versus wind versus coal versus traditional other forms of energy that we have out there. So I'm just going to keep track of this as best I can and try to stay in touch with Tim as much as I can on his projects moving forward. And I appreciate what you're doing on this stuff. This is wonderful, and we need more private entrepreneurs out there working hard in this field as well. And so thanks very much, Mark. Thanks for having me. Appreciate
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Glad to have you here.
My pleasure.
So with that, we've got some refreshments here. We can take people in and show them the inverter. The thing with the solar system, there's not a whole lot of bells and whistles and moving parts. But we can show you the inverter. That's kind of the real piece of technology that in my opinion makes all this work. We've also got a man lift. We're more than happy to run people up so you can actually get an eye-level view of the panels and how they're configured on the roof. it's pretty amazing to me. We put all these panels up on this roof, and there's 2 perforations through the roof for this whole thing. So they've developed some technology to where they can mount those panels directly to the standing seams on the roof without, obviously owning a building, you don't want to drill a bunch of holes in your roof. And so I was kind of amazed that they've come up with some technology that's pretty simple. It's not very high tech, but allowed them to mount those panels directly onto the standing seams of the roof. And the only perforations are for the cables that come down through that bring the DC from the panels down to the inverter, so we can turn it into AC. And